But let's get into things with my international panel. Sky News contributor Kosha Garda, former Labor MP, very disappointed Labor MP, I have to say, Michael Danby. We'll start with you on that issue, Michael. It's got to be a rugged, horrifically rugged 7 months for anyone who's a Jewish Australian, let alone someone who's been deep inside the Labor Party for as many years as you have been. What about these comments from the ABC? They've been accused of horrific bias over their coverage for some time, but they've taken an image of a Hamas attack on Tel Aviv and they've described it, this is a terror organisation, as a show of resilience by Hamas in an Instagram post. What do you make of that?
Well, let's fade out. What a chutzpah it is for Laura Tingle to describe Australians in a blanket way as racist. But her network, the ABC, funded by all of us, hasn't done one program on antisemitism in the 7 months since October the 7th. So all of us are feeling it on our necks with kids going to school, etc. Not a single program. As Joe Gersh, the ABC former board member, said on Sharry's program some weeks ago, not a single program. So full credit to Sky and to Josh Frydenberg for doing this program. It should be on our national broadcasters network, but not there. Let's go to the US.
There is a sense that this Trump trial will go to the jury and there'll be a result fairly quickly. Let's assume he's convicted in the state of New York, pretty Democrat state, so let's leave it there, and he ends up sentenced. Do we find he goes to jail? And how does that play out in a US presidential campaign?
It's very unlikely. I think even with the Democrat jury pool and judge, that just seems like a bridge too far. The judge recognizes that. He's even mentioned that the gravity of the situation is not lost on him. So I think it's unlikely, though not impossible. However, if he were to go to jail, there is a precedent of that. There's this famous case from 1920, Eugene V. Debs, who socialist candidate and ran from prison. So you're legally allowed to do so, but he was a fringe candidate. Never before has it been a very popular candidate with a big constituency doing that.
There's a great film about it called Blaze, if anyone wants to see it.
There you go. But I think all of this just plays to the dynamics we've been discussing, that it's going to make him more and more of a martyr and galvanize many people in support of him, but it's also going to tar him with certain other people who just won't be able to get past the fact that he's a convicted felon, whether he's in jail or not, and which one reigns more supreme is what this election is going to be about.
Talk to me about what's going on in Europe. Emmanuel Macron is out there saying, he's at a state visit to Germany at the moment, that there is an ill wind, he says, blowing across Europe. He's referring to the far right. There has been obviously a resurgence in the vote for Le Pen, but it's not just there. It's multiple countries have moved into the right. I won't say in every case it's the far right, but it's certainly a long way from the left. And I have to say, it's on the head of people like Macron, who have not dealt with the issue of illegal migration, mass migration, cultural changes. You know, the elites don't live in the areas under pressure from migrants. That's part of the problem, isn't it? The responsibility.
There are some arrondissements in Paris where even the police won't go. So there's 8 million Muslims in France, and it's a big cultural problem, and all of the countries of Western Europe should have dealt with it earlier. And Mrs Merkel was foolish to ask for 1 million Syrian fighting-age men to come to that country, and that's fueled the AfD, the far right there. Interestingly enough, he's doing it to cement relations with Germany in favour of Ukraine, because all of these far-right parties, a lot of your viewers mightn't believe this, Peter, but are funded by Putin. Mrs Le Pen has a huge unpaid loan from a Moscow bank.
I've got to be quick here, but Hillary Clinton says the reason she lost is that women didn't vote for her. It proves how smart women are.
She has a habit of painting in broad brushstrokes. She said similar things in the past. She won the women vote by a little bit. She lost white women by 2 points, and she lost working class white women by 10 or 12 points. There are policy reasons that can describe that, and she might do well to consider those.
When these politicians stop saying that women will vote for women just because they're women, they might get somewhere. Gosh, that gets under my craw. All right, that's it. Thank you both. See you next week.